Hey there, and welcome to week 2 of the Christmas Around the World Crochet Along with Bizzy Crochet. I am going to be using for my pine tree section this week, I'm using I Love This Yarn in brown and dark olive. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just dive right in. First thing we're going to do is I didn't tuck in my end, but typically I will tuck in my ends. But when I start working on my blanket, I will typically go to the corner to the right of where I left off, because if I don't want to tuck my ends in when I'm working this way, I will just work it into whatever I'm doing along that side. So that's what I'm going to do this time. Excuse me. We will be starting with brown in the corner. Pull up a chain 1, single crochet, chain 3, single crochet in the corner. This is going to be a very simple row, so you are going to put 1 single crochet into each of the stitches going across. I have single crocheted in each of the stitches going across. Now I'm at the point where I can make my corner, which is going to be a single, chain 3, and a single. And then we just do the same thing again and single crochet in each one. Go ahead and continue this established pattern, going all the way around all 4 sides. Slip stitch to your beginning single crochet here, and don't cut off because we're going to continue using the same color for the next 2 rows. All right, I have completed round 14 and I have slip stitched with the first single crochet of my row. I'm going to slip stitch into the corner, chain 1, single, chain 3, and single again. Now the next 2 rows, rounds 15 and 16, are going to be exactly like this row, exactly like 14. So go ahead and work 2 more rows, 15 and 16. After you get to the end of round 16, you should have 35 stitches per side. This round is 31, 15 should have 33, and round 16 should have 35. All right, I will meet you back here after round 16, where we will have 35 stitches and we are going to change our colors to green. All right, welcome back. I have finished round 16. I have made sure that I've got 35 stitches going along each side, and now I'm going to join with green in the corner again. Start with a chain 1, single crochet, chain 3, and then single crochet in that same corner. Okay, we're going to have to follow the instructions in this row fairly closely because we're going to be doing this spike stitch, and it is not the same on every single stitch. So we're going to start with single crocheting in the first single. We're going to spike stitch 1 row below. So that means into this open space. So you just go right below the stitch that's next into the space and pull up and single crochet. That's your first spike stitch. Don't worry about putting anything behind it because you went over the top of it. All right, we are going to single crochet into the next. Now we're going to spike 4 rows below. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going into the top of the actual pink. Don't pull it very tight as you're doing this, but pull up a loop and single crochet. That loop got a little big on me. All right, there we go. And now I'm going to spike 3 rows below. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to spike 2 rows below. 1, 2. And then I'm going to single crochet into the next. All right, so we've started our pine needle look. We're going to keep repeating that series of stitches all the way across. So go down into the pink, and pull through, down. Just remember to try and keep that loop fairly loose, down, and single in the next. Keep doing that all the way across. Three, 2, and 1. All right, see how that goes across the front of that brown? Okay, I've worked my way over to the other corner. Go all the way down to the bottom on that first one. All right, took us right up to the end where we're at our corner, and our corner is going to be a single, chain 3, and a single. Now we're going to go back to the beginning of the brackets. That means we single crochet in 1, spike in the next row down, single, and then start our repeat. It's okay if some of these loops up here get a little bit messy. When you get to the end of this round, you'll slip stitch with the first single crochet, and then the next row is going to be just regular single crochet going around, single crocheting into each of the stitches. I will start that row with you. When you get over here, just make sure you slip stitch, and that you also have 37 stitches going across each of your sides before you move on. Okay, I'm finishing up round 17 by slip stitching to the first single crochet of the row. I'm going to slip stitch into the corner, chain 1, single, chain 3, and single. Now, just single crochet in each of the stitches going across this row. You'll do your corners the same with a single crochet, chain 3, single crochet, and every stitch will get 1 single crochet. After you finish this round, you can go ahead and join with the first single crochet and cut off, because we are going to change back to the brown color. You should have a total of 39 stitches per side when you complete this round. Okay, round 18 has been finished. I made sure that I had 39 stitches along this whole side and on each of the remaining 3 sides. I'm going to join once again with brown in the corner, chain 1, single crochet, chain 3, and single crochet. So this next 3 rows are going to be, I should say these next 3 rows are going to be very, very simple. They're going to be exact replicas of these 3 rows right here. So we're just going to single crochet in every stitch going around for rows 19 through 21. It's just going to be a repeat of rows 14 through 16. When you get to the end of row 21, you should have 45 single crochets on each side. Because you're going to be growing at an increment of 2 stitches per side because of the single crochets that you put into the corner. All right, so I'm not going to make you watch me single crochet 3 rounds. That would probably put you to sleep. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and finish up this round and the next 2 rounds. Just remember that when you get to the end, slip stitch to your first single crochet and then slip stitch into your corner and start with your corner again and single crochet in each single crochet going around. All right, I will meet you back up here once we've completed round 21, and we will move on to our next green section. Alrighty, finished round 21, and now we're going to move on to round 22, which we're going to be going back to our dark green so that we can do a little bit more pine needle spiking on here. You're going to start in your corner with chain 1, single crochet, chain 3, and single. Put a single into the next 2 stitches, and now we're going to spike 3 holes down. So 1, 2, 3. Next one we're going to spike in the second hole down, and then we'll go into the next one in the row and just keep repeating that. The third one, the second one, the first one, the third one, the second one, and the first. So just keep repeating that across. This is going to be a nice simple repeat going all the way around. You'll put a single crochet, chain 3, single into your corners. The only difference is that when you get over to this corner here, you are going to finish with a long, a medium, and a small spike, and then you'll put a single crochet into that last single crochet before the corner. So essentially it'll be like starting out kind of with your 2 single crochets over here. You'll end with 2 single crochets over here. All right, so you go ahead and continue working this spike pattern. Remember, 3 holes down, 2 holes down, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and the next. Remember to keep your spikes fairly loose so that you don't pull your work too tightly. And you'll get that nice lovely spike going across. All right, I'll meet you back up over here. Make sure you slip stitch to your first single crochet, and then we'll move on to the next round. All right, I've completed round 22. I'm gonna move on to round 23. I slip stitched into my corner space. I'm going to single crochet, chain 3, and single crochet. Then single in every single stitch going across. Now this is the last round that you're going to be physically crocheting on the blanket itself for this particular section, for the pine section. You should have 49 stitches per side when you complete this round. And once you get to the end of this round and you slip stitch to your first single crochet here, you can go ahead and cut off the green and tuck in all of your ends, because the next thing that we're going to do coming up here is we're going to make some little pine cones for you to decorate this section. All right, that's coming up. Alrighty, here I have finished my round 23. I did go ahead and slip stitch, I cut off, and I woven my ends. I like to have a nice clean background. Doesn't always happen, but I try to, just because it's less things for me to have to run into or be looking out for as it just feels less messy. You know, sometimes the things that we carry along behind can kind of get in the way of future stitches. So I like to try and keep it kind of neat. But you can go ahead and set this aside. We're going to work on making pine cones. Now, I made this one with a, let's see, I've got it right here, with a number 4 medium worsted weight yarn. It is Bernat satin in, I'm just going to bring that in a little bit, in the sable color. Now, I didn't really have a DK weight in the color that I wanted to do, which was this kind of, you know, mid-tone brown to go onto my slightly darker brown. So I made it out of this. Now I feel like my pine cone might be a little chunky, but maybe not. You can really make the pine cones however you want them to be. Like this one, I have sewn into kind of a, oh, I guess I didn't sew this one down. Okay, so you can make them either long and skinny, like so, or you can kind of push them out and make them a shorter, fatter pine cone, like so. It's a really, you know, kind of fun, versatile. And we've probably made 100 of these when you were learning how to crochet, because really all it is just one of those swirlies. So I went ahead and made the swirly and then created a pine cone out of it. Just was the easiest pattern that I could think of. And so when you get to the point where you're going to tack these on to your blanket, you can cut, you know, several pieces of this darker green so that you've got a little bit of like a green piney behind you. You can really decorate this however you want. So just starting with a slip knot. And I am going to go down a hook size to an F 3.75 millimeter. Just because I feel like it gives me a slightly tighter stitch, since I am working on something that needs to be compact. So we're going to chain 18, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. We're now going to 3 double crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3 in that 3rd chain. Put a total of 3 regular double crochets. Working on the last chain here. I'm gonna just slip stitch. I'm gonna pull, and I'm gonna leave a fairly long end for that. Reason being is I'm gonna use this end both as a way to tack my pine cone together and to apply it to the blanket. First things first, I'm gonna tuck in that loose end because I don't need that extra bit sticking out. I feel like it goes against the aesthetic a little bit. All right, now I'm gonna figure out which shape I want my pine cone to be. So just kind of open it up and start putting it back together and just laying it however you feel you'd like to see it. I want it a little bit fatter than that. All right, I guess I'm just kind of fond of the short fat ones. And then I'm just gonna run the needle up through all the layers gently. I'm not gonna pull tight, because I just wanna tack it to keep it from moving around. And I'm not really doing this with any super rhyme or reason because nobody's ever gonna see this stitch. But I'm just trying to hit kind of like 4 points to kind of tack it down on each edge. All right, that's gonna be my pine cone, the short chubby little thing. All right, here's my vision for when I do apply it to my blanket. I'm just gonna quick mix some pine needles. Just wrap it around your fingers a couple, 3, 4 times. This is like the world's fastest pom-pom, I guess. Just tie it in the middle. Like so, to cinch it. And I usually flip it over and tie it on the other side too. It's just me being crazy. Okay, now these long ones, I'm just gonna leave. I'm not gonna cut them or do anything to them. But here I've got some pine needles. I'm gonna use these to attach them to the bottom of my pine cone. So I'll put one on one side. And I'll put one on the other side. And then I'm just gonna tie a quick knot to attach it. I should have maybe waited to do my little pokey ends. There we go. And you could even tie it right at the center. You could even tie it right down the center a couple of times. And then the beauty of this is you just clip it off to match the rest of your pine needles. And there you've got a little pine cone with pine needles on it. Now, as far as applying it to your blanket, you may or may not want to use a slightly different color of pine needle tone, but I'm going to just put it kind of in the corner here. I'm not really going to tack it on here because I'm going to wait until the very end, but this is where my pine cones are going to go? Is it going to go in each of the corners? I guess it does look a little bit like a rosette to a certain degree, but that's why you can make it look any way you want. If you want it a little bit longer to be a little bit more pinecone, you can do that as well. This is really going to be, you know, something that's what you want, however you want to put it on there. It's going to be all up to you. But this is what I'm going to do. So I hope you enjoy this part of the blanket, and I hope that you have fun creating your pine cones. I can't wait to see your pictures.